Welcome to Books versus Movies, the podcast where I set out to answer the age-old question, is the book really always better than the movie? I'm Yuvia, an actress and book lover based out of New York City, and today Orlando and I will be discussing Sandcastle by Pierre Oscar Lévy and its 2021 adaptation Old, directed by M. Night Shyamalan and starring Gael Garcia Bernal and Vicky Krieps. So, hi.
Hello.
So what did you think of my idea to invite you onto this episode? Because I kind of was
Um,
just like, this is short, read it, join me.
I mean, I'm always down. I'm always down to join you. You're just a significantly faster reader than I am, so it's kind of hard to do these episodes because by the time I finish reading, you've already read like 20 books. But this one was a fast one, so I'm excited.
Okay, cool. So so let's go ahead and get started. So Sandcastle by Pierre Oscar Lévy, illustrated by Frederik Peeters, I believe. It's a graphic novel that was first published in 2011, and it follows a series of families, a refugee, and a couple. Well, I guess it's three different families. So, yeah, three different families and a refugee that come to a beach to experience a perfect beach day. And then they realize that they're aging a lot faster than they should be. The 2021 adaptation Old, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, is pretty much the exact same thing. It's three families and, well, two families, a couple, and a rapper that make their way onto a beach, and they discover that they're aging a lot faster than they should be. So, I guess first things first, the families in the graphic novel kind of just end up on this beach on a whim, it seems like.
Yeah.
But in the film, they're taken there by the hotel that they're staying at. And this is like the hotel was like, oh, book this beach excursion and we'll come pick you up at the end of the day. But the hotel is in on it. They know. They know.
Yeah, because the hotel is the one that plans the trip for them to begin with, right? They're the ones that all of a sudden we learn through
Well,
the main
before
family.
you before you say
Okay.
that, let's do a quick spoiler alert. Let's not
Oh,
forget to
yes,
do
yes.
that.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert.
So this is an M. Night Shyamalan film. M. Night Shyamalan is known for his twists. So there's definitely going to be a lot more spoilers for the film than there is for the graphic novel. Because I think pretty much everything that happens in the graphic novel, except for like one or two things, happen in the film.
Mhm.
So if you do not want to know the M. Night Shyamalan twist of this film, then watch it and then come back. But okay, continue your thought.
Yeah, yeah, it was the hotel that not necessarily invited them, but once, okay, now that you've done the spoiler alert, once that we know that people are sick, all of a sudden they start receiving advertisements, emails about, oh, this exclusive hotel and blah blah blah, and that's how they get sucked into the hotel, who then plans their beach trip for them, and
Yes.
that's how we end up in the beach.
Yeah. So that's in the graphic novel, like I said, it's just like completely random. These people all just happen to end up on the beach. Um, there are kind of hints throughout the graphic novel that are never really answered. So like one of the kids does mention seeing like there's someone with binoculars up on the mountain, and then nothing ever comes of that in the graphic novel. And then there's also a moment in which they're like, that's Jose, that's Jose, that's the hotelier's son running towards us.
Yeah.
And then Jose gets shot down. And then that never goes anywhere. So it's like it seems like these families just ended up there in the graphic novel by their own free will. But then there is one very, very brief mention of a hotel. So I don't know. That, like I said, that's never really answered in the graphic novel. But yeah, that's the it's so those two things happen in the film and it is answered. Like the guy that the kids see up on the mountain is spying on them and taking notes. We will get into why he's taking notes when we reveal officially the twist. And then the hotelier, it's not the hotelier's son, it's the hotelier's nephew who ends up providing a major clue that we will also get into when we get into the twist. So those things are fleshed out in the film, but in the graphic novel, they're mentioned once, and then it's kind of like they never existed because they're never brought back again.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of those are little moments I was like, had I not seen the movie, I was like, so what is this? But I guess because I saw the movie, I had more of an answer, at least M. Night Shyamalan's version of how he interpreted those moments. But yeah, those were some weird moments. But I guess in the graphic novel sense, it kind of just builds the mystery because you're like, what was that? What was that for? But nothing gets explained.
Yeah, so that is one of the main issues I had with the graphic novel. It's I know that it didn't bother you so much. Um, but yeah, it really just bugged me that like these elements were introduced. Like since we saw the film before we read the graphic novel, I was able to say, okay, I guess that's what that is. But then again, I'm inserting M. Night Shyamalan's interpretation of these things and incorporating it into the novel. So I don't know how I would have interpreted those moments if I had read it first and then seen the film. But I think, I mean, it definitely would have bugged me. Like, I'm not someone that needs every single thing to be answered personally, but when you, like, you can't just bring stuff like that up and then never answer it again. Like, if those moments, like if the hotelier's son hadn't been included, if the man with the binoculars hadn't been included, and it was kind of just like this beach, you age a lot faster, then I would have just accepted that and the ambiguity of it wouldn't have bugged me as much as it did. But since those elements were brought in, and I think those were the only two things that were brought in and just never answered, it's like, why include them if they're not important?
Okay. Yeah. Just want to point out there's a weird sound coming, but I don't know if it's my headphones or it's Mike, but just let you know.
I think it's the air conditioner. I'm not going to turn off the air conditioner though. So I'm sorry, you're going to be hearing the air conditioner.
No, no, that's fine. Not I don't know what it was. But see, I was more of the opposite end of that. Like, what I liked about it is that it is weird, it is mysterious, and all of these things get brought up, but none of it really answers the question, and it kind of just leaves you in the further mystery of what exactly is going on. Um, which I kind of appreciated over the over explanation that tends to happen nowadays in books and movies, especially in horror. I feel like that's become a thing where it's the over explanation, the over logicalizing of things. I don't even know that's a word, logicalizing, but anyway,
Not.
you know what I mean though, like the
Yeah, yeah.
pushing the logic so much, and that is one of the things I did appreciate of this graphic novel. That I was like, that weird thing happened. It's up to you. What do you think happened? Um, I don't know. I kind of appreciated that. I love that aspect of the graphic novel.
So, moving on a little bit into some more differences. So, there's so many characters, and honestly, I don't remember like half of their names. So, just and I wouldn't even know how to mention them because I don't think the
Yeah.
names in the graphic novel match the names in the film, and some of them do, some of them don't. And so I don't want to like overly confuse everyone, but so it's going to be a little bit difficult, but there is like one character in the graphic novel. He is an Algerian refugee that somehow ends up on this beach. In the film, he is a rapper that is, again, we'll go into a little bit more detail about the twist and how everyone, why, what everyone is doing on this beach, but that's his equivalent. It's the Algerian refugee and the rapper. What was his name? It was like minivan or something like that.
Mid-size sedan,
Midsize sedan. Yeah, I was like, that's a
something like that.
yeah, it something like that. It was a name that I was like, I don't know of any rappers that would ever name themselves that. But then again, we
Yeah.
live in a world where Little Pump is a thing. So,
Yeah.
but then again, like whatever. So we have that equivalent, and then we have one family in the film. It's Gal Garcia Bernal's family, and then we have the other family, which is Rufus Sewell's family. And in the graphic novel, they're switched. So in the graphic novel, both families have two children. They both have a son and a daughter. But I feel like they were switched in the film. So the
Hmm.
and in the film, Rufus Sewell only had his daughter. He didn't have a son the way his character has in the graphic novel. But I feel like they were switched because like his children were older in the are the ones that are a little bit older in the graphic novel, and in the film his daughter's like the younger one, and then Gael Garcia Bernal's family are the ones with the two younger children, and in the film they're the ones with the little bit older children. And then we have the couple in the graphic novel. They're joined by her dad, and then in the film it's just the couple. So yeah, we have some missing characters in the film, and then we have some minor changes between who's related to who. So I think that's just the easiest way to explain it, but there are some minor changes in the families.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I did notice that they swapped the children around, which I'm not exactly sure the why. And Rufus's wife, for whatever reason in the movie, they made her significantly younger than him, and that is part of the, I guess, the storyline. So yeah, changes that were made that I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, I don't really know why either. So yeah, I did forget that in the graphic novel, everyone's around the same age, like couple wise. But yes, in the film, Rufus Sewell's wife is quite a bit younger than he is. But yeah, so we're also going to get into a little bit of content warnings. So, and one of them is a content warning. I would say it is specific to the graphic novel, although this does happen in the film as well. And that is there is just as I mentioned in one of my YouTube videos, this graphic novel is NSFSR, which is not safe for subway reading. There is so much nudity. There are like sexual encounters that happen in the graphic novel, and what can make it uncomfortable for some people is that they're not like overtly graphic, I would say. Maybe like one panel is like, you could say it's like, that's actually kind of graphic, but I wouldn't say it's like overtly graphic the way I've seen like other sex moments drawn in graphic novels. But what can make it uncomfortable for people is that two of the characters are minors. So
Yeah.
they are minors having sex with each other. They are engaging in teenage sex. For me personally, seeing minors, since they are completely fictional characters and they're just drawn, it's not like I'm looking at an actual picture of a real life minor. Like, that's what makes it, not that like, that's what makes it okay for me, I guess. It is kind of still like, whoa, to like turn the page and see that. And it's like, but you know, the fact that they're the same age, but I know that there's like some people that don't want to see nudity of minors of any kind. So yeah, just want to throw that out there, but they are, at least it's like minors having sex with each other.
I feel like another thing that could be triggering and a little bit hard to wrap around, which is something that I feel like both the movie and the graphic novel didn't quite answer, is the mental age of the people. Because the couple that ends up having sex, they started off as 6-year-olds when they got to this beach. And so that's where, like, I get it if you're, your body is aging, you have your hormones that are aging as well. But I was like, but what left me wondering is like mentally, where were they? Were they still 6-year-olds? And that's one part that kind of I wouldn't say triggered me necessarily, but did kind of trip me up a little as to what exactly was going on there and what the mental age, especially in the graphic novel, it's another difference that happens later. But you see that one character's mental age is not the age, so it can just kind of trip you up a little, just thinking that at the end of the day they did start off as 6-year-olds when they got to this beach, and could potentially be a mentally 6-year-old child engaging in sexual activity with the body of an older teenager. So it can get a little dicey there.
Yeah, that's true. And that's something that I didn't really think about, but it is a very good point that, yeah, like both the graphic novel and the film don't really, like, there's moments in which, especially in the film, so I do want to say in the film, don't worry, there is no nudity involving minors at all. And the two characters that do end up having sex with each other that are minors, the most you see is like them talking before they engage in anything, and then the young man touches her shoulder, and that's it. So, like, do not worry. The film, you don't see any nudity, any sexual content between those characters at all. But yeah, there are moments. So in the film, the character that we're referring to that starts off as a 6-year-old and then ends up engaging in sex once his body is of age, is played by Alex Wolff. And Alex Wolff I think he's a good actor and he does a really good job portraying this character. But there are moments in which he like his character is like really naive. So it's like, is he really naive because he still has the mind of a 6-year-old, or is he really naive because while his body has aged really quickly and his mind is aging quickly as well, maybe it's not aging as fast as his body? So is it just he's naive because he's experiencing all these things for the first time and it's happening so fast? Or is it because mentally he's still a 6-year-old? And I will say this bugged me in both the graphic novel and the film. The 6-year-old girl did seem to age a lot faster mentally than the little boy character. So she was the one that was a lot more willing to be like, let's have sex right now in the graphic novel. And in the film, like she so spoiler alert, she does end up dying, and the way she ends up dying is she's like, I don't want to be on this beach, and she like starts climbing up the mountain. And the way this area of the beach works in the film is like, if you try to leave that area too fast, your brain gets all frazzled and you end up passing out. So she starts climbing up the mountain, and once she reaches almost the top, that's what happens. And so she passes out and she falls off and she dies. So she's a little bit more conscious of like, something's not right, I need to get out of here. And so I mean, that's just playing on like stereotypes of like, oh, but girls age faster than boys do. And it's like, well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like social constructs that makes um, girls age faster than boys, but they're really they're just as emotionally immature as it all depends on your age, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like what you're saying is more especially clear in the movie. Because like you were saying, Alex Wolff does play a significantly younger, mentally young kid, and she plays a significantly older, more mature character when they were both just 6 years old, so they should technically be around the same age. Um, yeah, that's I hadn't thought about that. That's very clear, and yeah,
And one thing that you said, you're like, I'm so glad they changed this for the film, and I did too,
yeah,
is the older sister in the book. I will say we don't know how old she is when she engages. She does end up having sex with the Algerian refugee, but we honestly don't know how old she is when she has sex with him. Like, she's aged up, but we don't know if she's technically still a minor, or if she's just barely legal, or if she's like in her early 20s at that point when she engages in sex with him. So that's and this guy, like, he shows up at the beach as an adult. So he's very, very much clearly an adult. This isn't like he's a little bit older than her. It's like, no, like he's full on an adult when she arrives as a 14-year-old in the graphic novel. And and again, she's the one that's like, let's have sex right now. And it yeah, that was just really uncomfortable. That sexual encounter does not happen at this point. The older daughter is played by Thomasin McKenzie once she's aged up. So this moment between Thomasin McKenzie and the rapper played by Aaron Pierre does not happen. So that was, I do agree, I like that change because it is like uncomfortable.
yeah. And it seemed like in the graphic novel they were trying to give her like a rebellious edge against her dad of some sort, and it seemed that they were going for she's sexually active because of rebellion. But it was like, but she started off as young, like a kid. And then, because I remember there's that one part where she's trying to start an orgy with the other kids, and it's like, but one of those kids is your brother. It just got weird. Her character was very weirdly written, so I did really like that they changed all of that um, for the movie, and I did appreciate that in the movie she is when she's a kid, she sees the rapper and she fangirls because it's this rapper that she, I guess, knows. And the relationship becomes a friend. No need for any sexual tension, no need for anything else. It really is. She just really admires this guy and they have that connection. That's it. So I did appreciate that change a lot.
Yeah, me too. Those are the two more uncomfortable aspects of the graphic novel. And so I did want to give that content warning. So um so yeah, it just go into it with care and everything. But yeah, so that was uncomfortable. So I am glad that they made those changes for the film. The other, I'm giving it as a content warning because there's literally a website called "Does the Dog Die?" So yes, the
Yeah.
dog does die in the graphic novel and the film.
Um, I mean, I guess just just if it makes you feel a little better, the dog does not die violently. It is just a dog, and dogs age a lot faster than humans. Um, and that is just the nature of what this island is. But yeah, the dog does die.
Yes, and he died like Orlando said. It's not a violent death. He dies peacefully. He goes to sleep, and because time goes, so every half hour is the equivalent to 1 year of your life. So this dog goes to sleep, and I mean, I know like with our dog, he can sleep for out, like he just knocks out. So same thing. This dog goes to sleep as a I mean, we don't know how old the dog is, but he goes to sleep and just never wakes up because eventually he dies of old age in his sleep. So it's definitely not graphic. You don't see the body of the dog in the film, but you do see a picture of it in the graphic novel. But don't worry, it just looks like he's asleep because that's how he died.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about one some of the changes in the film that I actually did like. And that is so and I'm curious about what you think about this one. So in everything in the film ages it, half hour 1 year has passed everything, and that includes so as people there's one person that dies um it, kind of off screen for both of these instances, and she's kind of like the catalyst. The finding of her body is kind of the catalyst towards everyone figuring out what's happening. And so in the film, and obviously time is passing, we have some elderly people that die of old age as well. And in the film, as I said, everything ages at that equivalent, and that includes the body. So they decompose the same rate. So like at one like after they discover the body, they pull her up to the beach, they cover her with the blanket, and then later on they go check on her. And at this point they said it it's been like the equivalent of 7 years of decomposition have passed. So she's just like literally just bones. In the graphic novel, the once you die, like you don't like your body decomposes normally. Like it doesn't decompose as fast. Uh, so yeah, so I'm curious what you thought of that change. I actually liked that change in the film just because it makes sense to me that everything would age faster.
Yeah. No, I agree. I did like that change in the movie. I hadn't really thought about the graphic novel. That's true. They don't um change once they die because if you're looking at the logic of this island or this beach or whatever, the logic is time. So it wouldn't make sense of, oh, you're dead. Now time is gonna stop for you. Like it would make sense that time is continuing on. Um, but speaking of time, I will say one plot hole that I feel like it's more obvious in the movie than it is in the book, and that's more because of the way they shot it. In the movie, in both of them, you see when the movie is the rapper and in the book it's the refugee. They're there with another woman. The woman takes her clothes off and goes swimming, and that is the body that gets found because when she went swimming, she died somewhere in the swimming. In the movie, it is shot in a way where it looks like that was early in the AM hours. This was probably like 4 a.m. when nobody's awake. And then when they get to the beach, the rest of the families get to the beach. It's about sunlight, so let's say like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and the guy has not aged in those 4 hours. In the graphic novel, you don't know what time the refugee got there, so could kind of get the idea that, oh, maybe he's only been there for an hour. Um, yeah, that was a little bit that bothered me. But anyway, to your point, I do agree. It just makes sense that if time is passing by, it would continue passing by even after you're a corpse.
Yeah. So we're gonna there's still so many more things I want to bring up, and hopefully we get through it all before time runs out on my Zoom. So the two minors, the two teenagers that have sex with each other, they end up getting pregnant, or the girl ends up getting pregnant, and obviously she gives birth in 20 minutes because yeah, that's the equivalent. 20 minutes is like 9 months passing. So from time of conception to birth in this beach is 20 minutes. And I did also like this change because so she gives birth and then they put the baby down for a second to as they're helping mommy recover from having just given birth, and when they pick the baby up again, the baby's dead. And it's one of those things that's like, because time passes by so fast, there's no way to properly care for a baby. And I did the math, and 1 minute is the equivalent of, wait, I don't remember what it was. It was, I think it's like 1 minute is the equivalent of 12 days. So if they put the baby down 1 minute, that for the 1 minute that they were taking care of mommy, like that's 12 days of that equals 12 days of baby being neglected. So baby dies, and there really is no way for a baby to be properly cared for in the film. In the graphic novel, the baby survives and she keeps aging with everyone else. And in fact, at the end of the graphic novel, she's the lone survivor. And so she only has a few hours left at that point before she dies. But she's the lone survivor. So I did also like that change, because it's true. Like there really is no way to not neglect a, like if 1 minute equals 12 days, like there's really no way to properly care for a baby. But I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little torn because I do really agree with you. It makes so much sense. Like if you had a baby and time is passing by that fast, you would have to have the baby on the breast the entire time. Otherwise, the baby's just not getting fed. And babies eat all the damn time. So it makes so much more sense to me that the baby dies rather than survive. The reason I'm torn is because the baby surviving is so depressing. That last image of the baby being like mama, even though she's like a grown woman, because everyone is dead at this point, and you just know that this innocent baby with the mind of a baby is gonna die not knowing what the hell happened. It is such a depressing thought that I loved it. Like I just loved that closing image. And I felt like it was a lot stronger than what we get in the movie. Um, but logically speaking, yes, baby would die, and that makes the most sense.
Yeah. No, I get it. And it is depressing. And I will say that I think that was a plot hole for me in the graphic novel, is that like I do agree that is a very depressing image, but just like the idea of time in the graphic novel, I don't feel is consistent. Like I said, with the aging, with the decomposing bodies, with the baby surviving, but also um, 24 hours would be the equivalent of 48 years. So it does make sense for like the adults to pass away before the 20 before the day is up. And it does make so in like I said, in the graphic novel, everyone dies except for the baby, who's no longer a baby, obviously. But like the kids should have been alive with the baby, because they were kids. So aging 48 years would make put them in their 50s, which is what happens in the film. They do end up being in their 50s by the end. Um, So yeah, that was, I think, like a plot point that didn't really make sense for me in the graphic novel.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the graphic novel was more of a just a idea, a theory, and Shyamalan took that and applied the logic into it to make a little bit more sense. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the deaths because I did feel like the movie does reach that horror movie point in which it's like they're all we're all just picking each other, killing them off, waiting for them to all die. And in the graphic novel, they kind of just die because that's just what would happen. Um, but yeah, there would be a significantly big gap between parents dying and then the kids dying and then the baby dying eventually.
So really quickly, let's get into the M. Night Shyamalan twist, and that is that Big Pharma is behind it all.
Yeah. Which is kind of hinted at in the graphic novel in one single line. They're trying to theorize what exactly is happening and was like, maybe this is part of Big Farm. And then it just feels like M. Night Shyamalan took that and was like, nope, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Which was, I don't know. I'm still a little torn about that plot twist.
Yeah, so essentially, like if you have some sort of if you're ill, like oh my gosh, what's the word? A pre-existing condition, like you have some sort of pre-existing condition that could eventually lead to your death or is causing some sort of major problems. They target you. They find a way to target you through like social media and be like, check out this like beach resort, and then so you book a trip to this beach resort, and then they convince you to. So not everyone that goes to this beach resort is sick. Like the normal people get to stay at the hotel and just enjoy the hotel and the resort and everything. And then if you're sick, they convince you to go to this beach, and then they observe you while taking notes, which is the guy with the binoculars that's taking notes on them. And then that's how they're developing their pharmaceuticals on people.
Yeah, which of course the guy with the binoculars, also the driver, is the M. Night Shyamalan cameo, which has to get mentioned because M. Night Shyamalan always has his cameo in his own
Yeah.
movies.
So as I said, the hotelier's nephew in the film ends up sending a code to the son because he and the son become friends, and then that code, since like I said, they don't the kids or the brother and the sister at least don't die in the film, they use this code to get off the beach and like reveal the pharmaceutical plot to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird twist, but I mean, it is a
Yeah.
twist.
So really quickly, what did you prefer, the book or the film, which is the winner?
Do I do a drum roll? Da, da, da. I'm gonna have to go with the book. Just again, like I was saying, it's just that the mystery aspect, keeping it mysterious, it very Twilight Zone. That's what I loved about it. It's very Twilight Zone. No sense into it. It's just what it is. So I like that. It gets creepy. I knocked some points out for the ickiness, but yeah.
I rated both 3 stars, but yeah, I think I have to go with the graphic novel as well. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next time.